Commissioners on February 20th to come to order. And I'd like to call Pastor Dr. James Fizel, Lift Ministries International from Largo, to come up and do the invocation. And if Commissioner Eggers would lead us in the pledge.
Good morning to everyone, and to the commissioners, to any dignitaries that may be present, as well as each of you that are in the room. Thank you for allowing me to serve in this capacity. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help all of us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as decisions that are made that may affect us and all of us that are around us. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that is accomplished, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name for Christ's sake. Amen. God bless you.
Thank you. And I would like to invite Guillermo Billy Bay, who's the project coordinator with the Utilities Department, and Anita Wang, an engineer too, and Travis Gannell, engineer in training, who from the Public Works Department would join me up here. Is this? Yes, it is. Hi, how are you? Good to meet you. Good to see you. Thank you for all your hard work. Okay, I'll stay right here. So we have a proclamations for National Engineers Week. And Engineering Week is dedicated to increasing interest and understanding in engineering and technology careers to ensure a successful future in engineering workforce. Engineers encourage our young students to realize the power of science, technology, engineering, and math in their daily lives. Engineers continue to stimulate and develop professional concepts among their peers through education and excellence. Engineering helps to drive our economy, protect our environment, while improving our public safety and quality of life. The knowledge and skills of the engineering practice are critical to meeting the challenges of the 21st century. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that the week of February 18th through the 24th, 2024, be recognized as National Engineering Week. And I just want to present you with, I have two of them. I know there's three of you. So one of these, one for you. And is there anything you all want to say about your career and engineering in general?
Well, we have a lot of
I
great.
will give you that. And put it up close so they can hear you.
Okay, we have a lot of competent and very hardworking engineers at the county, and we're very fortunate to be able to serve the public with you all.
Engineering is a way for people to improve the lives of others. It means a lot to me to be able to stand here and accept this. Thank you.
Well, I thank you for your dedication and your commitment, and I'd like to invite the rest of the commissioners to come up and take a picture with you, if that's all right. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And the engineers truly are the heartbeat of this county.
And Commissioners, the two gentlemen that you have with you there, they are the engineers in training that you approved as part of the decision package last year to be able to, bring people, young people in and let them grow within the field. And so that was part of our effort to boost up our engineering staff.
Outstanding. Okay, so I would like to invite Melinda Perry to join me to accept the Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month proclamation. She is the Chief Operating Officer at Hope Village of America in Clearwater. Hi, it's good to see you. And who are you? I'm John Long. John Long, it's good to have you here.
VP of Abuse Services.
Vice President of Abuse Services. Well, it's really good to have you, and you really are doing wonderful, wonderful work. Teen dating violence is a pattern of emotional, verbal, sexual, and physical abuse used by one person in a current or past dating relationship to exert power and control over another when one or both partners is a teenager. The mission of Hope Villages of America is to restore hope and dignity to those in need through innovative programs and services. One way Hope Villages does this is through their Abuse Services Division, where education is provided to teens, parents, and the community about teen dating, violence, healthy relationships, and recognizing potential red flags. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that February 2024 be recognized as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Prevention Month. I want to thank you for being here. Do you have any comments?
I know that I would love for John Long, our VP of Abuse Services, to share just a little bit.
Thank you. So Hope Villages, what we do is we operate a shelter for women who are victims of domestic violence. And with the women that come, we take their children. And oftentimes we are at capacity, and half of our census are kids under the age of 10. So we've got kids in our community that are being exposed to domestic violence, and we've got to break that cycle. So we have programs that start in elementary school, go through middle school and high school, and raising awareness. The majority of parents are either in denial that teen dating violence is an issue, or they're just unaware. So we want to raise and educate the community. We want to challenge the city to train their employees and to make this an area where our teens are safe to go to school, to be in the community. About half of the victims of teen dating violence, they say that some of the violence happened on school grounds. So we really want to raise that awareness and education.
Great. Well, that is great, wonderful work, and it's so important for our teens and for their future. So thank you so much. And again, I would like to invite the commissioners to come up, and here's your proclamation, and we'd love to get a photo with you. We're going to move on to Citizens Be Heard. I have 2 cards. And again, if you would come up and state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. We're going to start with Warwick Hills, and after Warwick, we had David Ballard Geddes Jr. So Warwick? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the topic. I apologize. It's Gary Orr. And again, if you state your name and your address, and one more microphone over, there you go. And you'll have 3 minutes.
First, congratulations to all the award winners. Hard work. My name is Gary Orr. I live in the Warwick Hills, 2100. I'm in Region 4 is my region. I am here today. Anything else I need to? Okay. I am here today because we at Warwick Hills have had a problem. I'd like to say hello while I'm looking. I have a school board person that I've known for a long time. I'm a teacher at Pinellas Secondary, been there for 17 years. Pinellas Secondary is the reassignment school for those that are expelled from the mainstream schools. So I'm very aware of some of the awards. And of course, I can't say names, I read the etiquette part. Back to the topic is in 2014, we were approached by Booker Creek and presented a project. And the project was they were going to move the firewall from 100 feet up to the fence line because of the fires in Hillsborough. They were going to replace the fence and they were going to clear and clean the trees. We thought about it as an association. We agreed that sounded good, so we went ahead. That was in 2014. It is now 2024. It has not been done. They did, in fact, come and clear the trees. They cut the trees. There's 8,750 acres. They decided to clear the trees behind just Warwick Hills. I left information here. I have this.
You can set your photo right on that, where your papers are. There's a camera above it. There you go, right there. And there's a camera, and then we can see it on the screen.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Sorry.
There you go.
Thank you. As you see right here is the houses. Here's the 13 houses. They came and cleared all this, so you could see the tree lines on both sides. They cleared this area all the way back. And the issue and the problem was they left the trees. What happened was the company went out of business. They had a problem. They left the trees. So show you a quick picture. That's the fence line behind my house with the excavators coming, wiping out the trees. This is what they left behind. That was after 60 days. Time up. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. Consensus? Yeah, you can have another minute.
Okay. This is what was left after 2 years. We approached several people, 17 different people I have approached in the county, trying to be a good soldier, going through the organizational charts, realizing that citizens are the priority. Our problem is we keep getting kicked back down to this level, and this is where our grievances are. This is where our problem is. We can't get past that. One thing that did happen, I went in after 2 years. They came with a bulldozer. Guy tried to do it. He couldn't do it. He said, Mr. Orr, go ahead and do what you can. So I, myself, personally went up and cleared that area by hand over the summer during my break. And that's what came out of that. In retaliation for my calls, they came and put a camera 50 feet behind my house. And the deputy commissioner, I'm not supposed to say her name, Jill. Anyway, I talked to her. She called the preserve people and had them take down the camera within 24 hours. It was pointed right into my living room. I could sit on there. This is part of the retaliation that keeps coming back to me every time we contact. So we have a list of grievances. We have a list of problems. The piles are still there. And when I mentioned, one thing I did mention was Here it is. That's what I killed in my yard halfway up, and when I mentioned to the preserve, we're getting an 8-foot rattlesnakes and then there's a 10-foot kill, I was told, you do realize there's snakes in Florida.
Okay,
We understand that.
thank you. So we appreciate your comments, and my intuition tells me you're going to be hearing from some commissioners.
Yes, I hope so.
And,
Commissioners, I'll
and-
brief
and
you
so-
on this
So
on
we
our
appreciate
one-on-ones.
you coming, and I know, Barry, you,
I'll brief commissioners next week on our one-on-ones.
okay, perfect. So we'll look into it. Thank you for coming and bringing it to our attention.
Thank you for listening. It's been a long road, and, and there's 13 of us I'm representing. So
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
thank you for your time, and nice to see you again.
David Ballard Geddes, Jr.
Sorry for any bad protocol.
You're fine, thank you.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Ratified in 1961, the 23rd Amendment states that the district shall constitute the seat of government. Today, it's self-evident that the district that is to constitute itself as the seat of government, as recognized in the 23rd Amendment, is the Water District as constituted in Statute 373.715. The District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. was used as a decoy. It's a hold, as is the original 13 colonies, being used as a diversion, disfocusing our mindset from the underlying topography, the hydrology of the 13 watershed regions that comprises the entire continent of North America as an original mapping effort. The Confederacy, as recognized in Article 6, stating this Constitution, under this Constitution, as under the Confederacy, in actuality, is 3 separate constitutions. One constitution being based on land, a second constitution being based on water, seen as captures of land and water in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, as under the Confederacy, again being 13 watershed regions that comprise the entire continent of North America as recognized in Article 6. The county government, the city, the municipal governments were again used as a hold, as a medium to gain time and measure to aggregate the water supply, and are recognized in the Declaration of Independence as arbitrary, as light and transient, attempting to spin us around while standing us on our heads. The Declaration of Independence also serves as preamble to Hamilton's second Constitution, further declaring to institute new governments, new guards, new appropriations, new offices, laying its foundation. It, again, being found in the 14th Amendment, found it as its water jurisdiction thereof. It's all been double talk and 247 years of sacrilegious smoke and mirrors, despoilments. Our founding fathers were warlocks, placing us in their fallen reality, and we have to deal with this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's all I have in public comment cards. So we're going to move on to the Countywide Planning Authority. Number Barry left us. Okay. So we're going to move on to number 4. Barry?
Sorry. Okay, these are public hearings, so I'll turn it over to Darrell.
Agenda item number 4 is case number CW 2401. This is a request by the City of Clearwater to amend the countywide plan map from residential low medium to public semi-public regarding 0.54 of an acre more or less located at 210 Meadowlark Lane in Clearwater. The public hearing was properly advertised and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received and the matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Okay, and I have two cards of 2 people that are here to answer questions if you have questions.
And staff recommends approval.
Move
Do you-
approval.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Eggers, and I think a second from Commissioner Flowers. Did he? Commissioner Latvala? If we can bring up the voting cards and vote? And that passes unanimously, I believe. Well, you
Haven't
know,
seen that one
we didn't
before.
see that card.
The card wasn't on the monitor.
So the card was not on the monitor. Do we have a record? Yeah, so I saw the names,
The
but I
names were all
didn't see the
there.
votes. I made an assumption it was unanimous. I don't know, in fact, that it was. Could you repeat that? From in the back room?
It was on the broadcast chair. We're having a little bit of an issue getting it into the room. It'll just take a reset on this end. But it shows it was 6, and then there isn't a 7th vote. It's 6-0-0.
And who was missing on the vote? Oh, Commissioner Long. Can we get a voice vote? Yes. Is a yes for Commissioner Long, so then it passes unanimously?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So while they're fixing that, we're going to move on to number 5.
Agenda item number 5 is case number CW 2402. This is a proposal by Pinellas County to amend the countywide plan map from residential low medium to retail and services regarding .19 of an acre more or less located at 4685 Park Street in unincorporated Pinellas County. The public hearing was properly advertised and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received and the matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Do we have any questions, discussion? Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did have one question for staff on the item.
Okay.
Okay. Glenn? Nope, Scott? I guess it's Scott.
Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the item, it appears obvious they've been using this site for what they're trying to, change to, and that's fine. But then there's a long strip of parcels between that are kind of an island that are still residential, which are not residential, will never be residential. My question was simply, is that something that we would be proactive about changing, making that adjustment so that it's all lined up on the map?
Well, I think that's a good question, Commissioner. I don't disagree that it would probably be more appropriate in the future that would change land use designations, but we're certainly not, we don't proactively solicit land use designations on others' properties. We wait for them to approach us to do such. That's just been the policy of our department.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Any other conversation? We got a motion from Commissioner Justice, a second from Commissioner Scott. Any further discussion? And if they're ready in the back, if we could pull up the voting cards?
Scott?
That passes unanimous. Thank you. And so we'll move on to number 6.
Agenda item number 6 is case number CW 2403. This is a proposal by the City of St. Petersburg to amend the countywide plan map from office to multi-model corridor regarding .41 acres more or less located at 266th Street North. The public hearing was properly advertised and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received and the matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Okay, members, do we want a presentation? Is there discussion?
Second.
We got a motion from Commissioner Scott, a second from Commissioner Eggers. If we could bring up the voting cards, if members could vote. Commissioner Long? Is that a yes? So that motion passes unanimous. Thank you. And we're going to go on to number 7. And would we like a presentation on number 7? I think we would like a presentation on number 7.
Okay, Brendan's on his way up.
Agenda item number 7 is case number CW 2303. This is a proposal by the City of Madeira Beach to amend the countywide plan map from retail and services, resort, residential medium, and recreation open space to activity center regarding 27 acres more or less in area generally bounded by 133rd Avenue West to the west, Johns Pass to the east, Boca Ciega Bay to the north, and the Gulf of Mexico to the south, also known as the Johns Pass Village area. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. 1 letter in opposition and 1 phone call in opposition have been received by the clerk. The matter is properly before the authority to be heard. And Madam Chair, I do have 2 individuals who pre-registered to speak via Zoom on this item.
Yes, and I have one that's in person.
Okay.
Okay. Members, discussion? Or no, go ahead.
Good morning, Rodney Chapman, Division Manager with Fort Pinellas. Excuse me. Before we begin, I would like to give a little bit more context about this amendment because this is a little different than what you're used to seeing on a monthly basis. So if we can pull up the overhead, please. So today's request, again, is a bit different. This is essentially seeking permission to establish an activity center in the Johns Pass area. What you're looking at here is a map that is contained in a countywide plan that identifies the 30 different activity centers that we have established throughout Pinellas County. The colors on the map in those circles have different meanings, so you'll see there are 4 different subcategories of activity center. They range in descending intensity from an urban center like we have in downtown Clearwater or downtown St. Pete. It then steps down to major centers like we have in the Gateway area, in certain parts of US 19 along Clearwater. It then steps down again for community centers like we have on Clearwater Beach and in downtown Tarpon Springs, as well as downtown Oldsmar. And then we have the lowest tier of activity center subcategory, which is the neighborhood center, and you see it there in the very small purple. And we have those established in areas south of downtown Tarpon Springs, in downtown Palm Harbor, and there's a smaller one there also in North County. So if approved, this request would add an additional activity center to that map in the Johns Pass Village area. Now, the process by which we follow to determine if an area is appropriate for an activity center is primarily based on a couple factors, one of which is the area's location. And what you see here is our locational criteria for establishing activity centers. That land use strategy map that I showed you before had a series of corridors that have been identified as areas that are highly likely for redevelopment and support other planning factors. What we do is we look at areas that intersect those corridors, and depending on the type of corridor and the intersection, you can have either a very intense and dense activity center, or you can have one that is on the lowest tier. So for example, if you have an area that is on a corridor that is considered an other collector, like you see down here, then that corresponds to the lowest level activity center. And conversely, if you have an area that is at the intersection of 2 premium transit corridors, then that would support a urban center, again, like we have in downtown St. Pete and downtown Clearwater. And lastly, we also have guidance in the rules when it comes to the size of these areas. So you'll see here on this table, depending on the type of activity center, there is an acreage range that we look at. And in this case, the requested neighborhood center, that acreage range in the rules is anywhere between 20 and 500 acres. And then it gives you development thresholds or maximums for the type of projects you can permit within that area. So in this case, The neighborhood center would allow up to 60 dwelling units per acre, 100 temporary lodging units, a 2.0 floor area ratio, and it also includes traffic generation per acre for that type of activity center. So again, just a bit of contextual information that I'll refer back to in my presentation. As was noted earlier, the area is approximately 27 acres. It is bounded, as the clerk's representative said. The existing categories on the current countywide plan map are the four that you see there on the screen: residential medium, resort, retail and services, and recreation open space. The proposal is to change those categories from those that you see there on the slide to activity center. And I will note that there are no proposed changes to the existing uses. So you see there on the last bullet that the uses, both existing and proposed, are a mix of traditional tourist-oriented retail commercial, as well as a mix of residential and temporary lodging uses. I think we're all pretty familiar about the location of Johns Pass Village on the Intercoastal in the city of Madera Beach. Also wanted to draw attention to the fact that we have been working with the staff of the city of Madera Beach for a number of years to correct some longstanding inconsistencies with what the countywide rules, permits, and what the local comprehensive plan permitted. Unfortunately, due to no fault of the existing staff, there were changes that were adopted by the city that exceeded what the countywide rules allowed. Plainly, the city's regulations allowed a little bit more floor area ratio and temporary lodging than what was permitted in the countywide rules. And happy to be here today to report that we have been working with them over the last couple of years to resolve these inconsistencies. And the strategy that was supported by both us and the city was to develop a smaller scale activity center for this special area of Pinellas County. So again, as I mentioned before, there were inconsistent standards adopted by the city in 2008. There was a period of time because of a series of staff changes and turnover that no action was taken. They then approached us back in 2020 to find a way to resolve these inconsistencies. So in the last couple of years, we worked with them to develop this activity center request. It was submitted to us in 2023. They also had to make some changes to the comprehensive plan to correct that document as well. And when the Fort Pinellas board heard this request back in September, some of you that are on that board will probably remember our staff recommendation at the time was an alternative compromise, meaning that we could not support that higher tier of activity center that they requested, but we would support that lowest tier or neighborhood center activity center. The Madera Beach City Commission did act on that alternative compromise recommendation at the end of 2023 and did support that change in the request. So currently, the countywide plan map for this area includes these four categories. So again, rec open space, residential medium, which allows 15 units per acre and a 0.5 FAR, a resort category that allows 30 units per acre, 50 temporary lodging units, and 1.2 FAR. I'm going through these because it'll be important when I conclude to show you how the current request relates to the existing categories. And then retail and services allows up to 24 units an acre, 40 temporary lodging units, and a 0.55 FAR. Again, the request is to establish the activity center. Within this request, the city has established 6 character districts, and each of those have their own set of individual development standards that I'll walk you through. So these are the 6 character district standards. Again, these are reflective of the existing character of the Johns Pass Village area. And they have a boardwalk character district, which would allow up to a 1.5 FAR, and you see the acreage there at the far right. There's a commercial core that would allow up to 15 units per acre, a 2.0 FAR, and 60 temporary lodging units. And you see the rest as we go down to Johns Pass Resort, low intensity mixed use, traditional village, and a transitional district. It's important to note that the countywide rules, as you see in column 4, 5, and 6, it does allow for an alternative temporary lodging set of standards, meaning you can go above that by right density there, but it requires a development agreement that has other requirements that a developer would have to follow. And those alternative standards are also contingent upon the size of the property. So less than 1 acre, there's a certain maximum, and then more than 1 acre, you get a little bit more hotel density. Again, the uses for each of these 6 character districts are what you see here. For example, the boardwalk in pink, which is right there on the pass, is planned to have commercial recreation and service uses. The city has also included a couple of nuances to support more mixed use. So you see in the Johns Pass Resort, the low-intensity mixed use, and the transitional area, they limit commercial uses to 20% of the building's floor area. And in the transitional area, for example, they do limit the establishment of commercial uses to properties on the west side of Gulf Boulevard and so on. So again, we have determined that this request is consistent with the density and intensity standards and locational criteria for this neighborhood center subcategory. It does address the planning and urban design principles of the strategies and will not significantly impact any other relevant countywide considerations. So one other thing I want to share with the board, if we can go back to the overhead. One of the things that we were clear with the city on is having a clear sense of what is permitted currently and what the changes would result in if approved. So what you see here is a table that shows here what the existing Madera Beach Comp Plan standards are for residential units per acre, temporary lodging, and floor area ratio. So you'll see currently they average about 16 units per acre, 51 temporary lodging units, and a floor area ratio of 1.24. The average by right standards, this center column here, if this activity center request is approved, the residential units per acre still averages to be 16. Temporary lodging units per acre on average across the 27 acres is 50, and the floor area ratio is increased to a 1.78. And then the last column gives you the ceiling or the maximums that the rules allow for this neighborhood center subcategory. And the point here is to demonstrate that what the city is requesting is much, much less than the maximums that we have set in the rules. For residential density at 60 units per acre, 100 temporary lodging units, and even a floor area ratio of 2.0. One other thing I wanted to share with the board is the fact that this request would also solve not only the inconsistency issue with Johns Pass Village, but also the fact that the current development form is what we call non-conforming. And it's from no fault of the city staff, it's just that the older areas of Pinellas County were built with a different urban form or character. So you have a lot of lot line to lot line construction, multiple stories, and in this example of one of the shopping areas in Johns Pass Village, that is a lot line to lot line 2-story building. If that building under the current standards was destroyed by fire, hurricane, what have you, the property owner could not rebuild that structure because that is at a 2.0 floor area ratio. And you'll see in the diagrams here, under the current standards, that's what you would be able to put back. Again, this is what is on the ground, and then without these changes, you would not be able to rebuild back what is in existence today. So with that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Commissioner Justice.
Do we want to hear public comment before, or do you want to do questions now, or?
Well, if you have questions while he's here.
Well, I guess, thank you, Madam Chair. So they were, and this is not on the property owner and the folks that owned Johns Pass for a long time before it changed hands, but So they were out of compliance for a decade?
Yes, unfortunately, we have a paper trail of correspondence that we would send to them, just informing them of the inconsistencies. And commissioners, generally a handshake or compliance, if you will, so we don't have any disciplinary action that we could take to bring them into compliance. And it's really at the will of the staff to be able to bring these amendments forward to be able to rectify some of these inconsistencies.
Sounds a little more like a global issue of why we even do some of these things than if they're not adhered to. And I understand that, if a city green lights something, that the property owner, of course, they're relying on the city staff to tell them what they're allowed to do. All right, that aside, when we're talking about the density, we're basically going from the old zones where they were allowed certain on the waterfront, on the storefront, and we're spreading that kind of balance, averaging it out across the entire area. Is that basically right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay, we'll go to public comment. We have one person present, Michael Canto. If you'd like to come up, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. Michael Costa, okay. Thank you, Michael. I apologize for saying that wrong.
Hello, my name is Michael Costa. Over here. Okay. My name's Michael Costa. I live at 13302 Gulf Boulevard, Madera Beach. I'm actually a native of Madera Beach from years back, and I own a small lot, which they're all small over there since they chopped off some of the frontage to widen Gulf Boulevard. The lots were taken from the property owners, but they were paid a little something, but it made everything down there on the whole, both sides of Madera Beach on Gulf Boulevard non-conforming. There's not one place down there that's conforming anymore, and this has been since the early 70s. So everything you do down there, you have to get a variance. And when I was here, that gentleman that was just here, I need to speak with him today because he was covering just exactly what I'm here to talk about, the density. And I was told, I've owned this property for 20 years, and I was told by the old staff that I could use the property that was taken away for the density as long as I didn't ask for any setbacks. I could still do 20 in the front, 20 in the back, and 5 on each side. And this happens to be a corner lot, so it even has a little more property that you get to get in and out of your driveway. And what I was wanting to do, I guess I'll have to discuss it with that gentleman over there, is find out exactly what the rules are. I don't have a lot of money to hire a law firm to do it. I spoke to the Madera Beach city attorney, and he gave me the codes and the stuff to look up. But he says that he doesn't see what the big deal is about that, as long as I'm not trying to put the place right on the sidewalk like 80% of the buildings are down there. You know what I mean? I'm going to set back in the front and the backyard and the 2 sides. So I guess I have to speak to that gentleman. I didn't catch his name today before I leave and see if he could do something for me. So that's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we're going to go to Zoom. We have Shelley Eckert.
Ms. Eckert, can you please unmute yourself when prompted in the Zoom application and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Ms. Eckert, can you hear us?
Unmute, okay. Shelley Eckert, 1 Key Capri, Treasure Island, Florida, 33706. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
go ahead.
can,
You have
ma'am.
3 minutes.
Go ahead, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. This is in regarding item 7. This quaint fishing village at Johns Pass has drawn tourists, families, and residents back to Madeira Beach for years. People are attached and remember this piece of old beach charm. Cold weather may have affected the attendance at the recent seafood festival, but it did not stop the hundreds that enjoyed the shops and boardwalk for the annual boat parade. It's a quaint coastal beach town that stands out because of this village. My neighbors on Treasure Island opposed the new changes being proposed in item 7 on this agenda. Many of your Madeira Beach residents have spoken out in the past years and have said the same. Madeira Beach already has a huge activity recreational area at the north end near the library. They now have an excessive amount of new condos, and the city is overbuilt, hindering traffic. This agenda item, if approved, would destroy what we have, and we are losing our history daily. There are few places now in Pinellas County that you can park your car or bicycle and jump onto a deep sea fishing boat for a half of a day and go out into the Gulf of Mexico to fish. There's few places that offer an experience to travel down the intercoastal waterways in the day or night in an authentic pirate ship with a huge cannon fired off at the end of your trip, where you can also hop on a jet ski or a wave runner and race with the dolphins and the waves at your side. How many places offer a big 2-deck Calypso party boat where you can enjoy nature and music and dinner from a tropical boat? Hopefully the Wildlife Center will soon be rebuilt.
Ma'am, thank you. Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you for calling in.
Can I have 1 second?
Thank you for calling in. Everyone gets 3 minutes. Thank you. So next we have Ken Weiss. Mr. Weiss, if you would state your name and your address, and again, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Kenneth Weiss. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Kenneth Weiss. I moved to the area in 1958. I've been a lawyer for more than 50 years, and for the last 20 years, I've worked on assisting citizens require reasonable and responsible growth. I was also worked with Tom Moore. If you know any of you remember Tom, he was trying to save Sand Key, which was a beautiful island which was offered to the city of Clearwater. Now there are condos there. The main issue, the main point that I would like to discuss with the commission today is the complete absence of any kind of traffic study that was done on this project. I have been in constant contact with Forward Pinellas for the last year or two regarding this project. And my understanding is that Forward Pinellas does not do traffic studies, nor are they authorized to do traffic studies on a project such as this. The city can request Forward Pinellas to do a traffic study, and then Forward Pinellas will then do one. And I think it is urgent for this commission to hold off on approving a project such as this without seriously considering the traffic that will be generated by doubling the density and doubling the intensity of Johns Pass. As it is now, you could wait an hour to get a parking spot in Johns Pass, and you can barely get through there when it's busy. The other issue is that the city has just recently adopted all of the maximum the countywide plan, the maximum density and intensity permitted by the countywide plan, as part of its intention to continue to overdevelop the city. And so the question really is why is 100 units an acre necessary when they already have 60 units an acre? What is the purpose of this 100 units an acre? What is the purpose of doubling the intensity in this area? There seems no real purpose. The argument made is, well, we made a mistake for 10 years. Well, they knew for 10 years that this was out of compliance. They continued to issue building permits up until 2020. And I have an email from the former planning director who said, well, there's new people who purchased property in Johns Pass. They're locals, so we're going to need to change the zoning. This is all based upon developers who paid tens of millions of dollars to build huge hotels there.
Thank you.
In order to increase
Thank you, Mr.
density,
Ruiz. Your 3 minutes is up. We appreciate you
I would
taking your
hope-
time to call. Thank you. So, members, is there Commissioner Flowers?
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. Based on the information that you presented to us, did I misunderstand you when you said they could go up to 100 acres, but their decision was to regress, if you will, up to 100, not 100 acres, up to 100, but they decided to go less than, which was about 60.
Yes, I believe, yes, Commissioner, I believe what Mr. Weiss is referring to is the fact that the city of Madera Beach has adopted those standards, the ceilings, into their comprehensive plan. They have not placed those designations on any property in their city. They are just reflecting what we have in the countywide rules. Okay. As I referred to in my presentation, the density and intensity they are proposing is what I have shown on the slides and on the overhead. It is not 100 units per acre. There is no doubling of density. Just, can we pull up one more thing on the overhead? As the gentleman noted, the area has significantly small lot sizes. In the planning world, we know that in order for larger scale development to occur, that you need larger footprints, larger parcels. You'll see on the table there that the average lot sizes are generally about 1/10 of an acre, or some are about 1/2 an acre or so. We think it's extremely unlikely that you would have some massive redevelopment occur in this area just because you'd have to someone would have to assemble multiple properties all at once to be able to make a massive redevelopment project occur.
Okay. And you did note that based on the current structures and because they were not necessarily in compliance initially, that should something happen and those properties be demolished or they're considered inhabitable and someone determined that they were going to rebuild in that area, they would have to rebuild to the current.
To the current, yes, ma'am.
So what will be the difference in footage or acreage, would you say, that that particular business owner or homeowner could lose as a result of the new standards?
A good question. I'll do some quick math in my head. So let's say in that photo example that I showed you, you had a 2-story building built lot line to lot line. That's a 2.0 FAR. If the plan isn't adopted, then that property owner could only build back, I think, at a 0.55. So about, I don't know what math is, they lose 75% or so of what they have now.
And my last question is, and you may not know the answer, since there are so many changes that are occurring in Tallahassee, that certainly would limit any authority that local government would have when it comes to developers wanting to come in, as long as they've met the guidelines and standards, then we would have to measure any new construction or proposed new construction or development in this area based on any of the new legislation?
Yes, ma'am. Both any proposed or any existing, there have been a couple bills that have been passed into law and preempt the local government's ability to regulate new development. Essentially, a developer can come in and get approval to do things without changing zoning or land use. That's correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I don't even know how to begin with this particular item, considering all of the experiences and knowledge I have gained since being on this county commission. And in particular, I think by now, even the newest members here have had an opportunity to do that tour that takes you up in the sheriff's helicopter and goes up and down Pinellas County, as well as the beaches. There's nothing I have experienced that impacted me as much as that opportunity, because if you remember what that looks like from the air, I call it God's view of our barrier islands, which Madeira Beach is on the barrier island. In my opinion, it is already densely built out. And considering the proximity to water on both sides and the fact that it comes up by Tampa Bay, depending on the phase of the moon and where the tides are, in the event of a storm, these folks on the barrier islands are some of the most vulnerable in our entire county. And I would not vote for anything that increases the density to the extent that we've got here looking at us today. I think it's dangerous. I think it's part of the reasons why we have the issues that we do with erosion and all of the examples that we have faced in the last recent storms. Plus, we all know that storms are becoming much more violent, and they're much more frequent than they have been in the past. And I think it's just asking for trouble. So those are, and the very fact that we have this sitting here for us to vote on today, and there is no transportation study about the impact of additional folks going up and down the beach and over the Tom Stewart Causeway, I just think that's nuts. So those are my comments.
Can I address that comment, Chair, please? Mr. Weiss stated that there's no transportation analysis that was done for this request, and that is incorrect. So what you see here on the overhead is what is contained in the countywide rules. There are trip generation rates per acre for each of our categories. It's one of the things we use to just at a high level assess the type of trips that we generated for a particular land use category. You'll see here what I've tried to do is demonstrate the activity center trip generation in the rules for the 27 acres is about 5,800 total trips. And compare that to the existing categories that I mentioned before, retail and services, resort, residential medium, rec open space, with their associated trip generation rates and the total. So you'll see that currently the trip generation rates that are reflected in the categories that are on the ground today exceed what the trip generation rate standards would be if the activity center is adopted.
Are you done?
Well, again, I'm aware of how I serve on Forward Pinellas, along with several of my colleagues here. I think your formulas or whatever you're using are terribly flawed, because I remember listening to these same kind of arguments when they were talking about the boulevards going up and down in the city of Seminole, and I can tell you they have created a transportation nightmare trying to move around in that little tiny community. So just because that's what this, I don't care. It's not good, and it's not good for the future of our county, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to make sure I understand. You've incorporated a pretty large area here of 27 acres. You made comments that if there was a fire or storm, that certain aspects of what the people have talked a little bit about, the charm of the community on John's Path, would not be able to be rebuilt like it is. So part of what we're doing, is addressing that, so that they could rebuild John's Pass.
Yes.
The second piece is that you talked about the smaller parcels. You've put it all under one activity center. There's some smaller parcels that you've spoken about that would have to be, I can't remember the word you used, but with low likelihood that they could be accumulated to have a large enough piece of land to do anything with.
That's correct. Do you want me to elaborate a little?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to reflect back to our work on Fort Pinellas, doing things other than regulatory land use. One of the things you do, as you know, Commissioner Eggers, you've been on our board as long as I've been there, is in some of our quarter studies, we find ways to try and anticipate what areas are going to redevelop so that you can kind of focus your efforts, your transportation investments, and so on into that particular area. And some of the metrics we've used in the past to predict or sort of anticipate redevelopment are what we call building to land value, meaning that if the land is worth much more than the structure, it's most likely more economically viable to be redeveloped because the building isn't worth anything. One of the other things we look at, excuse me, is the parcel size, because our market economic consultants have told us that the larger the parcel, the greater likelihood it could be redeveloped because you have much more options. You have much more options in terms of uses, accommodating parking, stormwater, so on. And the only point I was trying to make was that as the size of the parcel reduces, you have more constraints that are introduced, and it makes it less likely for it to redevelop.
So, again, it's not in our purview. We're providing this countywide plan change. A lot of things are going to happen afterwards. So, those numbers that you just put up there from a trip generation standpoint, those are in play. I'm not even sure what's being generated there now, but for changes, that would have to be incorporated, that study would have to incorporate that new project within the overall traffic count allowance per that generation. Yes or no?
Yes, you're correct. There's a whole local approval process going to occur if the Countywide Planning Authority does approve to move this request back to the City of Madera Beach for second reading. They will begin working on zoning regulations that will further clarify and constrain what you can do in these particular areas. They will also, I'm not that familiar with their concurrency management or transportation analysis section of their code, but they will most likely have standards in there by when they have a developer that is proposing to build something within the Johns Pass Village area, that they will have to submit a transportation analysis that is more detailed and specific to the intended use. What we're doing at the countywide level is a broad brush, 50,000-foot level. When you actually have a development project that is proposed, that's when the more detailed traffic analysis occurs, and that's common.
How does that fit into the overall allowance for traffic in that area? That particular project?
One of the things that we do at Fort Pinellas, as you know, is to develop a level of service report. So the level of service report is developed annual. I've got a graphic to show you the traffic count stations around the county because I anticipated this would be a question. But essentially, our level of service report basically measures how all the major roadways around the county are operating. In this particular case, Gulf Boulevard is operating at what we call an acceptable level of service. It's not free-flowing A conditions, but it is acceptable and it meets that minimum criteria. Furthermore, in our level of service report, we calculate the volume to capacity ratio of a roadway, meaning how much volume is it handling compared to its operational maximum capacity. And in this case, Gulf Boulevard, per the latest report, is operating at about 65% of its capacity. And so those are two of the metrics that would go into any local traffic study or traffic impact analysis at the time that the city receives a development proposal.
Well, I think we're getting compliance now, I mean, in arrears, so to speak. and we're allowing things to come back if there's a problem. I would suggest that a lot of the efforts and redevelopment of any kind are going to be in the hands of the city on land use and zoning.
Yes.
And I would suggest that those residents continue to let their elected officials know what they want to accept. But I think from what we're doing is providing an opportunity to rebuild if there's a problem. So anyway, thank you for your answers.
And Commissioner Long. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to correct a misinterpretation, I think, of what I was trying to say to you, Rodney. I'm not against redevelopment. What I really worry about is that those of us that have lived here a long time, I think, can see that just maybe there were some mistakes made when we originally redid the countywide plan. And I do think that if you're going to redevelop an area, it's important to take a look at some of the mistakes that have been made along the way that might be better corrected by using a different kind of a formula. Because I clearly remember when they were in the process of redoing Ulmerton Road, and all they talked about was the service level, the level of service that was allowed and what was and all of that. By the time they got the thing done, it was already antiquated and behind where it should be. So, you know, when you talk about transportation, vision is really important, because by the time you get any major project done, it's going to be old news. The world is changing so fast.
You're very correct.
So that was my point I was trying to make.
Okay, thank you. So any further questions? Discussion? Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Got a motion from Commissioner Eggers?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Scott. If we could pull up the voting card so members could vote. Who are we missing? Here's Scott. Me. And it doesn't want to work. It's not working. So I'm a yes. It's not recording me on any device. So it passes 6-1. Thank you. And we'll move on to number 8.
Agenda item number 8 is a petition of Justin Aftanis and Dawn Aftanis, Marcel E. Feilinger, and Stephen S. Feilinger to vacate the 10-foot drainage easement lying within Lot 28, 334 Lagoon Drive, and Lot 29, 338 Lagoon Drive, Block E, replat of 3rd edition to Ozona Shores, Plat Book 53, page 18, lying in Section 112815 in Pinellas County. Since this is a quasi-judicial hearing, all those individuals who plan to speak on this item must be sworn in. For those wishing to speak, whether you are attending in person or virtually, if able, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Signify by saying, I do. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received by the clerk, and the matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Thank you. Commissioner Eggers, jumping right in.
Yeah, because this is a vacation of an easement for 2 homes, that is, no utilities have asked for any waivers of that request, or just they've waived the keeping the easement. I would move approval on this.
Okay, any more? We have a motion to approve. Any other comments, questions?
I'll second that.
Okay, so Commissioner Scott has a question, and Commissioner Flowers, I didn't. If you wanted to see a. Oh, I've got some cards, and let me let Commissioner Scott finish, and then we'll get to that.
Just a quick question. Is there any cost at all to the county? Is there any potential future liability to the county by doing this?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. So the petitioner is here to answer questions, and we do have 2 people that are here waiving in support. We have Marcus Fillinger, I think, and then Dawn Afters. Both are waiving in support. Any other further comments? We have a motion and a second. If we can bring up the voting card. So commissioners can vote. Yes. Okay, that passes 7-0. We go on to number 8.
Agenda item number 9 is a proposed
Number nine,
resolution
I'm sorry.
to expand the boundaries of the current county seat of Pinellas County, the city of Clearwater, and to set forth the geographic boundaries of the expansion area. This is the first public hearing. The public hearing was properly advertised. An affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received, and the matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Okay, commissioners, do we have any comments, questions?
Yeah, I would just like to see a short presentation on what this is all about, why we're doing it, just in case nobody understands this motion or this activity that we're undergoing. I think it's good to know what's going on. Thank you.
Why don't we have Joel kind of explain it first? And
Yeah, I know that there is a map accompanying your agenda items that show the expansion area. You've heard us be very careful in how we are describing this as an expansion of the county seat. This is not a change to a county seat. We're not moving the county seat. Florida statutes provide this process that you're undertaking as a mechanism to expand the boundaries. This is related to the property the county recently purchased with the goal to construct a new county campus, which is currently outside the municipal boundaries of the city of Clearwater. So this is intended to expand the county seat, not move it, not change it, but expand the boundaries so as to encompass that property where the county headquarters would exist in the future. And this is the first of 2 public hearings, so there's no action necessary today, other than to conduct the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Is that enough of a?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure that folks understand that we've bought some land on Omelton Road to move all of our government facilities to, probably in the next, well, wishful thinking, 3 to 5 years, but maybe 5 to 7 years. All of the buildings in downtown will be moving to that location, and these properties will be sold and used to help purchase that. We couldn't do that if we didn't expand the boundaries of the county seat. So that's what we're doing today, and I just want to make sure that folks understand why we're expanding the county seat.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? We can move on. Okay with moving on?
Yeah, you don't have to take action. You will have the second public hearing at your next meeting.
Okay, we're going to go to consent agendas, items number 10 through 31. Does anyone wish to pull anything?
Just number 20, please. I just had a comment.
Number 20, do you want to pull it or just have a comment?
Just had a comment.
Okay. So discussion?
Yeah, just a comment that just recognizing there's three to five folks that have donated dollars to our animal services, which means the love for animals, and I think the importance to what I've talked about and we've all kind of addressed, and raising the standards of how we take care of our animals in this county, whether it's through what we do or through what retail operations are doing. Raising the standards is a good thing, and I think it attracts the interest of our residents. So that's all I had. That's my only comment.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion? Got a motion from Commissioner Scott? Second from Commissioner Long. Can we bring up the voting card?
Madam Chair, can we do a voice vote for consent agenda?
Oh, we can, I'm sorry. And so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. So we move on to number 32 on the regular agenda.
Item number 32 is a termination of an agreement with Bay Promo LLC and award a bid to On Time Marketing. These are for promotional and novelty items. The current vendor was unable to fulfill our needs, and so this was the second lowest bidder.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Justice and a second by Commissioner Flowers. Can we bring up any other discussion? Okay, so when the voting cards are up, members please vote. And is that me again that's not working?
No, that's probably
You're
me.
on.
Okay, so that passes unanimously. We'll go on to number 33.
This is for East Lake Community Library. This is an MSDU project. This is for a variety of things at the library, upgrade to the existing hanging lights, flat panel LED ceiling lights in the main area, children's room and team room, $20,000.
Second.
Commissioner, we got a motion by Commissioner Justice, second by Commissioner Long, and a question by Commissioner Eggers.
Really not a question, it's a comment.
Okay.
I've generally been very supportive of these projects. They typically, each of those 4 organizations get 1 project a year. This one is probably okay as well. We've gotten some letters recently from the library advisory group making some point on some issues related to how the Fix-It board operates. And I'm not real happy with what's going on up there right now. And I think there's a better way to handle things. But we will have a very active discussion on Wednesday night at the Fix-It board meeting about the board that's there and the work that they try to do. A bunch of volunteers trying to do the work up there, doing a good job, generally speaking. Nobody's perfect. We aren't, they aren't, but they need to be able to work together better. And so I'll be encouraging them on Wednesday night to do that. I just side comment based on
Okay, thank you, good
that
to know.
item. So we'll
Thank
see.
you. Any other comments? We'll go to the voting card, if commissioners would vote. Okay, and that passes 7-0. We'll go on to number 34.
This is a ranking of firms and agreements with 12 firms for requirements for the housing and community development support services. These different folks provide a variety of different services for the projects that come before you. And so this is a master bid to be able to have the basic services we use to bring the projects to you.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Approval.
Commissioner Scott and Commissioner Long is the seconder. And if we could bring up the voting cards and commissioners can vote. And that passes unanimously. Number 35.
Item 35 is a funding recommendation by the Opioid Abatement Funding Advisory Board for the Opioid Abatement Leadership Planning and Coordination Solicitation. This would engage Ernst & Young to prepare the plan for an amount not to exceed $478,000. Commissioner Peters represents you on that, so she can answer any other questions.
Any questions? And I can tell you I was disappointed that Ernst & Young won that process. I think they're a great organization. I just think KPMG would have been a better fit, but that's not how it ranked out. So there you go. Got a motion from Commissioner Scott and a second from Commissioner Flowers. Could we bring up the voting board? And that passes unanimously. We'll go on to number 36.
This is the first amendment to an agreement with WSP USA for the Forest Lakes Boulevard, Phase 3. This is professional engineering. This is the final design documents for that section of roadway to be widened.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, just a question. It seems like, and maybe I just want to make sure I understand clearly why there was a $1 million increase, and it's either scope or change of costs or something, and I just was trying to make sure I understood what.
You want to address it, or Kelly can address it, but if I'm correct, this is because it's in the final design phase. You know, so it's an increase because it was a 3-phase project. This is the 3rd phase of the project, which increases the contract cost.
Please, I want to make sure I understand. This is an increase of $1 million on the contract. So the contract involves 3 phases, and we were going to bid each project, not bid, but get prices on each different phase?
Yes, correct. When we put out the RFP, the first phase was a preliminary engineering report, and we brought that to you, and you approved that amount for the preliminary engineering report. What is before you today is for the design services that will take us to construction.
Did that also go out to bid?
It was part of the same RFP. So those costs are negotiated within the rates that are approved at the time of the contract. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it was moved,
There's been no motion yet.
Move approval.
So we got a motion from Commissioner Eggers, second from Commissioner Scott. So if we could bring up our voting cards so commissioners can vote. That passes unanimously. Number 37.
It's a grant agreement with Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the Dunedin Causeway Resiliency and Adaptation Plan. $600,000. It's reimbursable to the county. There's no county match.
Any questions or discussion?
Move approval.
Motion from Commissioner Long, second from Commissioner Flowers. If we could bring up the voting card. We're waiting on one, and that passes unanimously. Number 38.
This grant agreement is with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for our dune restoration project, and welcome to receive $15.1 million of the about $37 million that we have spent, but that is at least $15 million that we otherwise didn't have. So appreciative for that funding
Yeah,
piece.
outstanding. Do we have any comments? We've had a motion from Commissioner Scott, a second from Commissioner Flowers. Any further discussion? If we bring up the voting cards, members can vote. And that passes unanimously. Number 39.
Fund 39 is a grant agreement with Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the North County Stormwater Improvements. So this $9.5 million is broken up into 3 different areas: Crystal Beach, Palm Harbor Regional Stormwater, B Branch Erosion Control, Southern Area Drainage Improvements, and Pinellas Trail Infrastructure Improvements. So these things in total come up to the $9.5 million.
Any, Commissioner Eggers?
So there's no grant required, but we effectively are spending a lot of our own money in addition to the grant dollars.
Well, I would ask Kelly to address this because I'm not familiar with each one of these projects. And there's no county match, but I don't know if we've spent other funding on it. That's the reason I'm asking her to come up.
Kelly Hammer-Levy, Public Works Director. These projects are actually already in our approved CIP, and we requested an appropriation from the state of Florida to supplement the penny funding that we had allocated to each. And so that $9.5 million is spread out amongst those projects to help offset some of the penny.
Understand. So that's really, it's not really a requirement on their part to have a match. We just happen to have more than a match.
Yes.
To get these projects done, and this helps.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any
Move
discussion?
approval.
Got a motion from Commissioner Eggers, second from Commissioner Scott, so we can bring up the voting card and members can vote. And that passes unanimous. Number 40.
It's a ranking of firms. This is an agreement with Aptum Environmental for engineering, construction, and monitoring services for our beach nourishment project. This is for all of our beach nourishment projects, so this will be the firm that helps us do the design. We're trying to get ahead of it to once we address the issues with the Corps of Engineers, we'll be ready to move. And this is the firm that'll help us get us in place.
Any questions? Commissioner Scott?
So this is the regular scheduled beach, this is not emergency dune restoration?
No, this is actual beach nourishment, not dune restoration. And this is so they can go ahead and work on the design issues, correct, Kelly? To where when we actually have a project with the Corps, then we have that design in place and ready to move.
Okay. Move approval.
We got a motion from Commissioner Scott,
Second.
second from Commissioner Eggers. Bring up the voting card, members can vote. We are waiting on, and that passes unanimously. We'll go on to 41.
State-funded county incentive grant program agreement with Florida Department of Transportation for design activities. Is the ATMS project, but on 113th Street from State Road, well, from Tom Stewart Causeway to Almerton Road.
Any questions or discussion?
Which, is it? I'm sorry, this is 41.
41.
We have a motion? Motion from Commissioner Just, second from Commissioner Scott. If we bring up the voting card, commissioners can vote. And that passes unanimous. We go on to 42.
This is a First Amendment to exercise a term extension with Conde Holdings. This is a contract for corrosion control chemicals used in our drinking water to maintain compliance with lead and copper rules.
Got a motion from Commissioner Long. Do you have a second from Commissioner Scott? Is any discussion? Seeing none, bring up the voting card and members will vote. Number 43.
Item 43 are amendments to the various companies here. This is for IT augmentation staff. So as they have vacancies in these skilled positions, they augment their staff using this company. As you can see in the bullets there, they anticipated using $1 million a year. They actually anticipate using about $2.5 million a year, which requires a contract amendment.
Any questions? Commissioner Eggers.
Just a quick comment on that increase, Barry, what that's coming from.
It would come from their budget, and so if they have a vacancy, then in essence that creates unspent dollars under that, and so it's basically a transfer. But Brian, you want to address?
Commissioners, Brian Zumwalt, BTS. Yeah, so we anticipated at the time when we set these contracts about $1 million a year, and that was based upon our vacancy rate that we had when we signed the contract. Last year, we averaged about $2.4 million in staff augmentation, not just in BTS. We also have other constitutional offices and BCC departments that are leveraging these contracts for augmentation. So we're looking to add $7.5 million to it, which would cover us over the remaining 3 years, and basically through the end of the contract term.
Because of the vacancies that we have.
Correct.
We're using outside work a lot more.
Correct, for hard to fill positions and or project related staffing.
Is there any kind of analysis on the comparatives? Like what it would have cost if we had been staffed? And
generally, when we go to staff augmentation, generally it's about anywhere between 20 and 30% greater to actually have that staff augmentation in place compared to a full-time equivalent salary. And that's just the nature that we're paying overhead to the firms that are actually providing that staff.
full-time equivalent includes everything, retirement and all that would have been
Fully
baked
loaded.
in. Okay, thank you.
Any other conversation, discussion? Do we have a motion? Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Long, a second from Commissioner Flowers. If we bring up the voting card for commissioners to speak. And that passes unanimous. Number 44.
This is a second renewal of an agreement for CareerSource for their legal counsel with Gray Robinson.
Got a motion from Commissioner Long. Second from Commissioner Scott. And bring up the voting card. Members can vote. That passes unanimous. We go on to county attorney reports.
I have no reports today.
Okay, county administrator.
Yes, Commissioners, I wanted to roll out the 2023 accomplishments report. So as you know, we work with you daily to try to outline the goals and objectives for the year. And you come through a year and there's actually a lot that's been done. So we put together this booklet and also a video to have a look back of all that we've accomplished, both with you and on our staffs. 23 year, you set goals, and in most cases we achieved them. We were also thrown a few curveballs and things that we didn't get, but overall we think there's more than one home run. So putting it into analogy, we're passing out the 23 accomplishments report. We have copies of these we're going to deliver to your office, but I'd like to first take a few minutes to watch a video that highlighted some of what we've accomplished together.
Attracting high-tech jobs, saving our beaches, keeping the Rays in Tampa Bay, and finding a new home for county operations. 2023 marked another incredible year for Pinellas County. Our county strategic plan calls on us to support a strong economy. In 2023, the Board of County Commissioners teamed up with the City of St. Petersburg and the Tampa Bay Rays to lay the groundwork to keep Major League Baseball in Pinellas County. Building a new stadium and developing the surrounding area is an unprecedented economic development opportunity. Commissioners also unveiled the ARC Innovation Center, a cutting-edge hub that will give rise to high-tech startups across the region. And this year, our county soared to new heights with a record-breaking 2.5 million passengers traveling through St. Pete Clearwater International Airport. The strategic plan calls on the county to keep our residents and visitors safe. As Hurricane Idalia approached Florida's west coast, our emergency management team kept the community informed and sheltered nearly 2,000 residents and their pets. We responded to more than 6,500 resident inquiries and distributed more than 160,000 sandbags. After the hurricane destroyed many of our sand dunes, county commissioners swiftly allocated tourist development funds to fast-track an emergency shoreline restoration project, trucking in more than 100 tons of sand and planting thousands of new sea oats to protect homes and businesses from future storms. Improving home affordability is another county priority. The county expanded the down payment assistance program, offering up to $75,000 in zero-interest loans to help residents achieve their dream of owning a home. The board hosted the Homes for Pinellas Summit, uniting more than 100 elected officials, business owners, nonprofit leaders, and housing advocates to create practical solutions. And Pinellas County achieved a Class 2 community rating from the National Flood Insurance Program, unlocking potential savings of up to 40% on eligible insurance policies. That's the highest CRS rating in Florida and within the top 1% nationwide. Our strategic plan also calls for the county to deliver first-class services, from good roads and sidewalks to effective consumer protection. In 2023, we resurfaced more than 160 miles of roads. Our commission dedicated additional funds that allowed our public works team to complete a backlog of sidewalk repairs ahead of schedule, finishing more than 1,100 repairs in less than 2 years. We protected residents from flooding by improving drainage across more than 500 stormwater facilities, 600 miles of ditches, and 14,000 acres of rights-of-way. Our utility staff upgraded more than 9,000 of our customers' water meters and introduced a new online service to help residents monitor their usage and to lower their bills. Our teams protected residents from fraud and theft, issuing more than $1.2 million in refunds and adjustments by investigating more than 1,100 consumer complaints. We also removed more than 200 fraudulent rental advertisements and investigated over 600 complaints against contractors. And looking to the future, our board took a huge step toward making our county government offices more convenient and efficient by purchasing land in Largo for new headquarters. The beauty of Pinellas County comes from nature, and our strategic plan calls on the county to protect our environment. In 2023, staff and volunteers completed a half-acre offshore oyster reef at Philippi Park to reinforce the shoreline and improve water quality in Old Tampa Bay. We planted more than 600 trees across the county. To help our residents enjoy nature, commissioners supported many improvements to our county parks. The new Magee Discovery Garden encourages children and families to learn, play, and explore at the Florida Botanical Gardens. The new Bay Pier at Fort DeSoto opened this fall, and Heritage Village celebrated the opening of the restored Turner Bungalow. And all year, county employees gave back to the community. During the Great American Teach-In, our staff volunteered 190 hours in classrooms countywide, sparking children's curiosity about a variety of careers. And employees donated $11,000 in our annual bike drive, brightening the holidays for children across the county. The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners and county employees are committed to our vision to be the standard of public service in America. We're proud of our successes in 2023 and look forward to serving our residents in the new year. To learn more, visit pinellas.gov/accomplishments.
So, as you know, Commissioners, that just touches the highlights of so many things that are accomplished, with all of our staffs, with your support. And so I think it was a good video to touch on those and just remind us, what we were set last Thursday talking about what we have to do. Well, this is a look back, at least what we've accomplished thus far, and we look forward to a productive new year.
Wonderful. Anybody have any comments about that?
Yep.
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I like the effort that staff has made in continuing to provide good, I would call it happy, but positive access to government for our residents, whether it's through our communications department, what we have going on here, our website, and all of the issues that all the things that we've applied to that website that help, again, understand what's going on here. And then hopefully continuing to get better and better receptivity at our utilities department, public works, parks, and our BDRS group, which, it's a tough job. It's a continuing programs and continuing challenges that go on, but making sure that you receive residents every day in a positive way, but also in a helpful way means a great deal to them and to all of us. So thank you for that.
All right, anybody else? And we'll move on to...
Wait a minute, I got one other item,
okay.
Commissioners. So I sent this out to you by email, and because of the way last Thursday, we didn't necessarily have a regular work session. And that's, they were requested to provide comment on the gubernatorial appointment of Dr. Thogmartin. And so if I haven't heard any concerns, otherwise I would have, done one-on-ones, but I thought I would bring it up here if you're supportive.
Yeah,
we can ask
he's
the chair
great.
to-
I'm a big fan.
Do we need to vote or?
Dr. Thogmartin, medical examiner.
Medical examiner. So with your concurrence, we can ask the chair to provide supportive comments that staff provided and send that to the commission that oversees that.
Yeah, he has an outstanding team, and their workload is incredible, and they just do it with grace. So.
Okay, that is all I have for my report. Thank you.
Okay, then we will move on. Harry is long-waited to our federal legislative program. Welcome, it's great to see you here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for inviting me to come back and talk about the federal agenda, where your federal agenda stands right now. First, I want to thank the Chair and the Vice Chair for being in Washington last week to represent you at the National Association of Counties Washington Conference. It's good to be with them. We did a couple of meetings with the senators, staffs, and had a chance to compare notes on a couple of things they talked about there. Most of what we talked about with the Senate staff was about beach renourishment. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Just a quick update on where Congress is. I think, Mr. Administrator, if Congress had an accomplishment video, it would be way shorter than what you had in the video you just showed there. So Congress continues to try and resolve their fiscal 24 budget situation. That impacts a couple of things on your federal agenda. We'll talk about those in a minute. We have two deadlines coming up here on March 1st and March 8th. For some reason, Congress decided this year to have two continuing funding resolutions, one that runs for 4 of the appropriations bills through March 1st. One of those involves the Energy and Water Appropriations Bill. We'll talk about that in a second. And then the second deadline is March 8th. It involves the other 8 regular appropriations bills. If Congress doesn't resolve their appropriations work by the 1st and or the 8th, there could be a partial or full government shutdown. Hopefully that doesn't happen. They seem to be making good progress right now. Even though the House and Senate are in recess this week, the staffs are working together, so when Congress comes back next week, they can hopefully start to pass these last 12 bills, and we're already in the 5th month of the fiscal year, so I can only imagine how a county would operate if you were 5 months in the fiscal year before you had your final budget, but that's what the federal government's up against. President Biden will deliver a State of the Union address on Thursday, March 7th. It's a little later than usual this year because of the delay in the appropriations work. And he will submit his fiscal 25 budget on March 11th, which is about 6 weeks behind schedule. So that just doesn't portend for Congress getting its work done for fiscal '25 much earlier than they're getting it done this year. Most of the work, I think, and we're going to talk a little bit later too about some federal regulations that may impact the county. I think being an election year and they're so far behind schedule, there probably will not be a lot of major legislation finished in this Congress other than spending bills and potentially supplemental appropriations bills for some of our international situations. So a lot of the focus for the next couple months is going to be on the administration's regulatory agenda, and there are 3 or 4 items that I think I've talked to your staff about or may have significant, moderate to significant impact for you. But just starting on your federal agenda, the first item on your federal agenda, and you mentioned in your accomplishment report, is the National Flood Insurance Program. Unlikely that Congress is going to, they've been trying for several years now to review and reform the National Flood Insurance Program. As you know, there's a new payment mechanism underway called Risk Rating 2.0 that started a year and a half ago. Congress was looking to make some changes to that to moderate some of the significant impacts it's had on ratepayers. You're lucky in Pinellas County to have Mike Twitty, who's such a national expert on the National Flood Insurance Program. We've been fortunate to have him come up a couple times to sit down with committee staff and with FEMA staff to work through this, but I just don't, with the narrow margins in the House and the Senate right now, I don't see Congress taking any significant action to reform the flood insurance program in this Congress. But what's critical to watch for, and we'll continue to work with your staff to monitor this for you, is the National Flood Insurance Program. The expiration expires at the end of every fiscal year unless Congress passes a long-term authorization. And what happens is every time Congress has to extend the budget, they extend the National Flood Insurance Program. So right now, the National Flood Insurance Program is extended through March 8th when that second continuing funding resolution expires. And we continue to make sure, the Vice Chair and the Chair talked with the committee staff or congressional staff about it this week or last week, to make sure that that continuation occurs without a break. Several years ago, we actually had a short-term break in the authorization of the flood insurance program, and that creates havoc in your real estate market because the NFIP can't write new policies for new home buyers until the authorization is extended. So we expect that to be extended through the end of the fiscal year, which will be September 30th. Second on your list, and we could spend, Mr. Administrator, hours on this conversation, is about the beach renourishment situation. You talked about it in your accomplishment video. Hopefully in your 2024 video, we have some accomplishments that we can achieve, at least some construction underway. We really haven't, I'm not sure Kelly's here. She's your expert on this, and you're lucky to have Kelly. I don't know how she puts in all the hours that she does just on focusing on this beach renourishment situation. We actually have 2 efforts underway right now in the Congress. One of them does involve the appropriations cycle that we talked about. There's an effort being made with your support, with the county's support, among 8 or 10 other Florida members of Congress on the House side and the 2 senators, to insert a provision in the Energy and Water Appropriations Bill where the Army Corps of Engineers is funded, to tell the Corps of Engineers that they must honor existing project cooperative agreements, PCAs, like you have on both projects in Pinellas County, the southern project in Treasure Island Long Key and the northern project in Sand Key, to direct them to honor those obligations through the PCAs and not essentially not require you to collect 100% of the easements on these projects in order for construction to move forward. That's important to Pinellas County, but there are 10 other counties in Florida that are in a similar situation that you are, including a few that received money, emergency money from Hurricane Ian to rebuild their beaches after that terrible storm. Those projects have been on hold now for almost 2 years. So this would be a short-term fix that would allow, presumably, at least Treasure Island Long Key to go to contract and construction this year. So we're making an effort to work with the Energy and Water Appropriations Subcommittee to include this provision. It will only apply for the next 5.5 months of the fiscal year, but at least allows projects to move forward in this calendar year. And then that dovetails into the next issue, which is legislation called the Water Resources Development Authorization Act, or WRDA. This is a bill that Congress considers every 2 years on a very bipartisan basis to authorize new federal projects with the Army Corps of Engineers and to change policy that related to projects under the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers. We're working, your county attorney, Kelly, other folks, other counties around the state, the Florida Shore and Beach Preservation Association are all working together with the Florida delegation to try and include a provision in that authorization bill to clarify what the easement policy is that's been giving the county so much problem. And so that's a bit a longer-term fix. That legislation will be worked on in the House and Senate probably this spring and early summer, with the goal to have it signed into law before the end of the year and the end of this Congress. It usually gets done, again, on a very bipartisan basis. Kelly and some county folks were up a couple months ago to sit down with the county staff and go through the whole easement issue. The rest of the Florida counties, the administrator knows, have been a little bit slower on the uptake on what the impact of this will be. But I think we finally have good critical mass now within the delegation, and starting now with other states going up the eastern coastline to, I think, affect some change in the WRDA bill to give the Corps of Engineers some new direction. We're also hearing that the Army Corps of Engineers is hearing from Congress on these efforts. They're, I think, working to try and find some kind of an agreement, some kind of a solution to this problem. I know they're hearing it from the colonel in the Jacksonville District Office. There was just a quote in a South Carolina paper a couple days ago from the commanding general for the South Atlantic Division of Corps of Engineers, which is kind of the next level up from Jacksonville. The commanding general was quoted in South Carolina saying he wouldn't sign one of those easements if presented to him, and he thinks that we should go back to the requirement for temporary construction easements, which has been the county's position all along. So at least he's trying to influence what's happening in Washington on the issue. So we hope in the next few weeks to have a temporary solution for you to allow some construction to move forward, and then later this year to have hopefully a longer-term solution that provides a little more common sense to the easement policy. And I'm happy at the end of this to answer any questions that you may have about that. Two other items on your federal agenda related to offshore oil drilling. Not much is happening on that front right now. There's a presidential moratorium from 2020 that's in place that prevents drilling within 100 miles of the coastline, so that remains in place. The Florida delegation continues to try to work together to provide legislation to provide a temporary moratorium in the Gulf. Again, given the narrow margins between the Republicans and Democrats in both the House and the Senate, there's not much of a likelihood of a major energy bill or legislation to fix that, but we continue to watch that for you. And then your fourth item on here relates to the America Rescue Plan funding. That's the support that you received from the federal government during the COVID period. As you know, the ARP funding, you have some deadlines coming up. The money must be obligated by the end of this calendar year. I think you're on pretty good shape on that front. And then funds must be expended by, there was a change from the original law, must be expended or obligated by, spent by September 30th of 2026. So I think, again, you're continuing to track on that. I don't anticipate that Congress is going to make any further changes to the expenditure of that. We will talk about one other item that will be helpful to you, though, that was in some other legislation passed later. And finally, on your agenda is the issue related to PFAS, which I know you all have been working or hearing about repeatedly. This actually moves into what I was talking about earlier, that much of the focus in the rest of this year, this Congress, is going to be on the regulatory agenda of the federal government and this administration. PFAS is an area that your Public Works Department, your Utilities Department is working and monitoring very closely. As you know, this is a chemical that is used in a lot of manufacturing. It was used in foam that the firefighters used at the airports and other garments and things. They find that this material, this residue, gets into the water supply. So EPA is getting ready to finalize a rule that would force water utilities like yours to test for, remove, and dispose of PFAS, according to notices published. This is according to a notice published by OMB just 2 weeks ago. So they proposed last March a new EPA rule that would direct public water systems to reduce concentrations of 2 types of PFAS to what they call 4 parts per trillion. This is actually the lowest level that they can actually monitor in labs now that monitor for this PFAS in your water supply. There are 4 substances that they find in drinking water that are going to have to be monitored for and cleaned up if it's found in your water supply. So essentially, water utilities like yours have been working with the administration, the Environmental Protection Agency, and Congress to try and provide some relief for this. They have not been successful in that effort to this point. The National Association of Counties continues to push back. We expect final regulations to be issued in September. This has an impact potential on your water utilities. It could drive up their costs, which could impact your ratepayers. And so we're watching this very closely for you. There's a second rulemaking related to PFAS you may hear about that's underway right now. It's required by a 2020 law passed by Congress to develop rulemaking to identify certain PFAS substances as carcinogens or known carcinogens. They're going to have to publish this, and that'll could impact your water utilities going forward to have to monitor for these particular elements in your water supply. The EPA missed their deadline of having these regulations out by the end of this year, but their goal is to have them published by the end of 2024. So again, it's a major issue. It's going to affect all water utilities in the country, both public and private, and we'll continue to work on those. The administration did provide in the Inflation Reduction Act funding that's been divided up by formula to all the states, and Florida's receiving almost $88 million to be provided to your utilities to monitor for and try and comply with the new requirements when they come out, to look at water systems, how they can clean the filters and do the other things. So there'll be $88 million available to the state of Florida. Not sure exactly how they're going to divide that up to all the utilities here. And there will be other federal grants that are available through the Inflation Reduction Act for utilities to apply for individually as the regulations are promulgated and new systems are going to have to be implemented. There's a second set of regulations I just want to call to your attention that were just released in early February. I think Chair and Vice Chair may have heard a little bit about this at the NACO conference. They call these the EPA soot standards. This is the particular matter that can be found in the air. EPA issued a regulation the other day to reduce the allowance for these soot standards by 25% from 9 micrograms per cubic meter, from 12 to 9 micrograms per cubic meter. This is provide a little bit more margin for error than an EPA advisory committee did, but it's going to be could be potentially problematic for counties like yours that have to comply with these standards. This involves emissions from vehicles, factories, other manufacturing. The administration estimates in their rulemaking that 99% of the counties will not be impacted. They provided a list of all the counties in the country, and fortunately only 2 in Florida would be impacted by this new regulation, Pinellas County not being one of them. Your microgram number through 2022 was 7.7. The new regulation is at 9, so you right now are in pretty good shape. But again, we'll continue to monitor this, and any information that you have, we'll share with the county staff. Finally, the last regulation I want to talk about, and I've talked to Mr. Sacco about this. In fact, he was supposed to be up in February, but now coming up with a group from Florida in March, relates to regulations pertaining to your waste-to-energy facility. The EPA last month proposed new regulations, which your staff is beginning to work through to figure out what the impact might be, to strengthen or raise the emission standards for municipal incinerators. EPA estimates there are 52 of these around the country. Florida has among the most by state in the whole country, and you have one obviously here in Pinellas County. So under a draft rule released last month, the EPA will toughen these new source performance standards, is what they call them, and emission guidelines for incinerators. I talked to Mr. Sacco the other day. They're, again, still trying to wade through the regulation to determine exactly what the impact is. The counties that have incinerators, I know Pasco County just contracted to start building a new one, so will have 2 up there. Hillsborough County has 1. I think all of the counties that have these incinerator facilities are going to be coming up in March to go see EPA, but also talk to the congressional delegation and relevant committees to talk about this problem. EPA is required to publish a final rule under a court situation by November of this year, so we don't have a lot of time to figure it out. I'm sorry, there were 57 incinerators, not 52 around the country, and fortunately you're not, you're one of those, and we'll just have to see what the impact is. Finally, I just want to talk about a couple. As you know, the previous Congress worked through several major pieces of legislation. The Bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act was one of those, called the IIJA. That has provided significant funding for the next 5 years. We're in year 3 now of those 5 years for transportation infrastructure projects across the country. Good news is that one of the programs that was created in that legislation was called the Airport Terminal Program, which provides additional support to the nation's airports, and PIE was awarded a grant last week for $6 million for their terminal expansion project. So some of those funds are working their way back into to the county. There's a CHIPS legislation I know you have some counties, some companies within the Tampa Bay area, they're looking to apply to the administration to expand their chip production capability. You have one, if not more, here in Pinellas County that I know about. And then the third program is the Inflation Reduction Act, which we mentioned briefly, that provides additional funding to some federal agencies, including NOAA, to support coastal communities. I know Kelly is working on an application right now to NOAA for support of the Joe's Creek project, and that got a strong application. You applied initially, the list was eligible applicants was whittled down, and you made the cut, and you've already gotten some good congressional letters of support for the project, so hopefully that will yield results. And lastly, as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, I just want to call to your attention, we've been talking to your staff about this. The Inflation Reduction Act creates a list, and I think I provide them to your staff, of tax credits that are available to companies to invest in renewable energy sources, renewable vehicles, other energy efficient systems for their companies in manufacturing, and to homeowners. But because you all don't pay taxes as a public entity, these tax credits wouldn't be available to you. So the Inflation Reduction Act actually creates a new program called Direct Pay, which will allow nonprofit organizations and public organizations like yours, municipalities, port authorities, transit authorities, to actually receive the same, what would be a tax credit if you pay taxes as an organization. And so this project, we were hoping that IRS would have the regulations promulgated by now. They published interim draft regulations last June that kind of laid out the program with the expectation the final regulations would have been published by the end of the year. They didn't make the deadline, but they're hoping to have them out between April and May of this year. What that essentially will do, Ms. Trader, is allow the county to look back to January 1 of 2023 on any investments that the county makes on renewable energy and more energy efficient services, certain fleet acquisitions that are energy efficient, and receive a tax credit up to 30% on some of the purchases and investments that you make. And so that's significant money that may come back to the county to reduce the cost of projects you've already undertaken and projects going forward for the next 8 years. So it's a 10-year program, and I think many counties and nonprofits will benefit from it. Right now, we're waiting for the final regulations. There's not a lot you can do except we'll get with your financial folks. They are asking counties, municipalities to apply through a portal to get a tax ID number. It'd be a unique tax ID number for this program to allow you then, when the rules are finalized and the application period is open, for you to start submitting through this electronic portal for reimbursement of certain of these expenses. So happy to work with you, providing information your financial folks may need, and we'll continue to update you once we see the final regulations on how it will impact you. So that's kind of where we are right now. Happy to answer any questions and
Any questions?
some of these issues.
Just a couple
Commissioner
comments.
Eggers.
Well, first of all, it's always great to have you here, Harry. And every time you said lastly, and there was another lastly, it was great. It's great to hear all that stuff. So I appreciate you being here and sharing that, because not all of us get to travel and do that kind of stuff. But thank you for that work. I was encouraging. Would you say the commander that made a comment about, we knew Jacksonville, they were okay with it. So it's nice to see it working its way up, and we're working both sides against some middle that seems to be stubborn. So hopefully that takes place. But thank you for that. And it was also good to hear that early testing with Tampa Bay Water, that there was just a couple locations within the system that were above that 4 points, 4 parts per whatever it is. I think there was 5 and 5.5, but for the most part, all the testing came out very good for our area. So that's a good thing. And then I guess the last thing I would ask you, in that bipartisan infrastructure bill, did that include bridges as well?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there are 2 programs, and Congress had suspended the competitive bridge replacement program in the last highway authorization bill. So for 5 years, there was no federal bridge program. They reconstituted in this bipartisan infrastructure bill and created 2 programs. One is a direct payment to the states, a formula-driven payment to the states that they would increase the budget that they have through the Federal Highway Administration funding, and they could rank in the bridge repair needs that they have in Florida. And then there's a competitive bridge program, which you all can apply to. It's a tough competition, and unfortunately, Florida did not fare well on the formula for the state formula because Florida's bridges really stack up well in the rating. Part of the formula was based on the rating of the bridges. And a lot of states around the country have bridges that are failing, you know, in the C, D, and E level or F level. Florida's bridges are in much better shape, and so they receive less funding per capita than many of the smaller states. But there is a competitive bridge program that is available. I think Kelly's aware of it, and happy to provide any information you may have. There'll be three more cycles. There are 5 cycles of each of these funding programs through the bipartisan infrastructure bill. They finished 2. This year opens the 3rd cycle of funding, and there'll be 2 after this.
And these are larger bridges, I'm assuming, not the small. We have little bridges all over the place, but they're competitive. So the one that I think about the Dunedin Causeway Bridge, for instance.
We've looked at that for that. It just it doesn't stack up well for a number of reasons. The criteria are in there, and 25% of the funding in the competitive program has to go to rural communities. So you lose 25% off the top. So since you're not a rural community, so you're competing against a much smaller group, and then you compete against projects within your own state. So I think they're looking for bridges that are close to the failing side, and they're looking for bridges that move large numbers of people. I think that one's some of the criteria that is a problem for the Dunedin Causeway.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Scott and then Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Harry, great to have you here. Good to see you again. Been a couple times this week. That's unusual. But just want to thank you very much for taking us around up at the Capitol earlier or last week to visit Senator Scott and Senator Rubio. You mentioned on the new soot standards that Pinellas County were well under the new threshold, which is great. But what were the 2 Florida counties that were above that threshold?
It is, I'm going to say, I believe it's Escambia and Broward County. Broward County is at 9.4 and Escambia is at 9.5. The new standard's at 9.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought Escambia. I could see maybe Broward, but that's interesting. Just what makes you wonder what they got going on up there.
Yeah. And this, by the way, this regulation doesn't just impact government. It'll impact manufacturing and other organizations as they're applying for permits. So this will set a new permitting standard for manufacturing organizations. So it'll grandfather in your existing permits, but you have to reapply, you expand your facility, you have to apply and get a new permit, or a new company comes in, it will impact them. So it's something that your economic development folks will need to monitor too.
Thanks.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to thank Harry for his good work. He's been a great resource for us all. Sorry that our schedules mixed last week and I wasn't able to get in with those meetings, but just appreciate your good work.
I say thank you, Commissioner. I was at the Honey Arts Festival out at Lellman last week, and so I really enjoyed that. So thanks for your leadership on that. I say, Mr. Mr. and Chair, I just want to thank you for your staff's great to work with. You have, I just want to say, you have some real professionals. A lot of these environmental issues, these regulatory issues, and as Kelly knows, some of the things we're working on, they're very complicated. You have great staff that are on top of these things, and I think. We work with a number of other municipalities at our firm, and I can say you're at the top when it comes to the qualifications of the staff we work with. So we really appreciate that. It makes our job so much easier, and they represent you well.
One final question.
Commissioner Irish.
Yeah, on the waste to energy plant, those just came out in February. Those change,
yes.
Significant changes that we're seeing.
I think Paul Sacco's still weighing through them. They could be. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, so I'm a journalism major, so I don't know. And Paul's been working on them. I think that's why they delayed their trip up to Washington from February to March, so the group could, this Florida group could get together and kind of come up with their analysis of the proposed regulations and see what the impact would be on.
I know that we've had some folks that have approached the county about some new emission things that are going on, technologies that are going on out there, and we got a very extensive white paper, kind of where we were at, but that was all pre these changes, so I don't know how that's going to affect things or how dramatic. And
well, you've gone through, this isn't the first time this has happened to this facility, so you've gone through several upgrades to meet the new standards that have been set, I think at least twice, if I recall correctly, so this will be a third iteration.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and Harry, I echo Commissioner Justice. We just do, we can't thank you enough for all the incredible work you do, and And it's just what you've done for Pinellas County over the decades, so thank you.
I live here now, so it's a labor of love, so thank you.
Okay, so if I don't see any more questions, you are free to go.
Thanks, Harry.
Travel safe when you go back up. We're going to move on to number 48, an appointment to the Pinellas County Library Cooperative Board of Directors.
Yes, Commissioners, we're requesting to place Veronica, who would replace Brian, since he's no longer in his previous role.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Do we have a motion? Got a motion from Commissioner Justice, a second from Commissioner Long. If we could bring up the voting cards. And Commissioner Flowers is a yes, so that's one. That passes unanimously. We'll go on to number 49.
We asked the 49 be pulled.
Okay.
We'll bring that item back.
Okay, so we'll pull 49, and we're going to go on to new business, and we're going to start with Commissioner Flowers. Microphone, please.
The Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, and a part of what we're doing now is submitting the application for the larger NOAA grant. That is quite a bit of money, and it is quite a huge undertaking, but we have staff that are assigned, and after revamping kind of the structure of the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, so actually, Ms. Wren was approached about us applying and how we should. So we are hopeful that that will be favorable. Those partnerships will be with the University of South Florida and its Marine Science Program, as well as Pinellas County Government and others. So thank you for providing that information here today. I really appreciate it. I had a, excuse me, I had an opportunity to provide the first financial update for the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, and we are in good shape. We have received 100% of the dues from all of the partners, so we're excited about that. And I know that there was some tension because, unfortunately, we released the previous executive director. That was a very sad moment for all of us. And there were not concerns that money was being taken or spent, but just some policies related to how investments and things of that nature were done without the board's input or direction. So we've gotten all of that straightened out, and we are back on the right track. And so I am thankful for that. I'm going to provide you all with copies of a document that we provided so that persons could see where we were versus where we are right now. And you can read it at your leisure, but I don't want to go through all of that on today. But I'm just excited about that change there. We also put into place some additional fiscal policies that we think will help. I know I requested that we look at these policies so that when staff are making decisions at a certain threshold, that those decisions have to be approved by the board so that we alleviate any additional comments or concerns. Excuse me. Please remember, if you have not already signed up for the resiliency conference, that you do. We are already ahead of the curve from where we were last year as it relates to the number of registrations at this moment, as well as the number of sponsors. So please, by all means, get that on your calendar if you have not done so already. The Homeless Leadership Alliance selected a new CEO. The former CEO now works for the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg campus in a diversity and inclusion department. So the new CEO, her name is Daisy Correa. I hope I'm saying it right. Correa. She hails from St. Vincent de Paul previously. So she has been able to hit the ground running because she's very familiar with what's going on in the area of homelessness and those who are working but still finding it difficult to pay either their mortgage or their rent. The HLA did receive the HUD NOFO grant. They received $6,149,111. So that was $580,000 above the amount that was funded for the year previously. That group that makes up for that funding award and how services will be contracted out will go to Boley, Brookwood, Young Women's Residence, CASA, HEP, of course, HLA, and Hope Villages of America, as well as St. Vincent de Paul. Excuse me, we already talked about PI receiving that $6 million from the Federal Aviation. And I think some of you all took a tour or visit for the Aviation Academy that's right there on 34th Street and Almerton Road. But they're doing a super job about recruiting young individuals who will be future pilots. Darlena Herring, who's my aide, her grandson took his final flights, and he is now a full-fledged pilot. So he can fly alone, and he's just in high school. So look forward to seeing him fly in the friendly skies at some point. There have been a number of bills that have been flying back and forth in Tallahassee. I don't have to recap any of those with you. Several of them are preemptions on what we can do here as a local government entity. We already had that information shared with us regarding FRS and regarding permitting and all of that. So just keep an eye on those. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Sure. I'm going to go a little out of order, if that's okay, because I know you have to leave, and I didn't know we were going to lose Commissioner Latvala. But so before you go, I have two things that we need to do. I need consensus on a lighting on the Skyway Bridge for CHAMP1, which is a neurological disease, for March 19th, if you all are in consensus. Thank you. I'm going to do an all in favor. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. And then our aides won the tornado drill. So the aides won the communications award for the tornado drill photo. So they would like to take a picture with us, if that's okay, and then we'll come back and we'll finish the business update, because you have to leave and I want you in the picture. So, so all the aides are here. If you all want to come in, we'll take a picture with their trophies, and then we'll finish up our business, if that's okay.
Although there was a commissioner there.
Oh, who is the commissioner? Oh, is that a hoot? Oh, my God. Well, be sure to send the photo to everybody. Send it to everybody.
We roped her in.
I didn't do anything.
Thank you, everybody, and we appreciate your participation. And it really is an important drill for everyone to practice. So I know you're going to scoop it. If you stick around, great, or you can hear the rest of the reports. Okay, we're going to go to Commissioner Justice then.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, I wanted to thank Tom Almonte and all the folks on the Lellman Engagement Activity. And Tom, I always forget the name of the committee, but the group of folks from our different organizations and some staff that worked to do the events in Lellman, and they pulled off another incredible Honey and Arts Festival last Saturday. It was absolutely picture-perfect day to be there. A huge crowd, more vendors, and more folks getting introduced to that part of Lellman, which many people didn't know. And a lot of folks that live nearby actually still didn't know that that park was right there in the middle of their community. So just a great event, and I appreciate all their good work. Tampa Bay Estuary Program, we had our quarterly meeting last week. We got our financial audit, unmodified clean opinion, so that's good. On your desk, I left the Pinellas County impact statement from the program, which just tells you a little bit about for the money that we invest in the estuary program, the return on that investment and some of the projects there. So it's just all good stuff. And then lastly, in our report, our accomplishments report, I think will become my second favorite stat, and something that I think we should be touting everywhere we go, is that because of the investments this commission has made over the years and the decisions we've made, that CRS rating, I knew it was good and I knew it was gotten better every year. I did not know it was the best in Florida. And I think that's something we should brag about every day. In the top 1% nationwide, I think that's huge. It's it's the stuff we talk about, Commissioner Eggers, as far as local government investing in our infrastructure, investing in those things that are really important that provide for the safety and security of our residents. Top 1% nationwide. I think that's kind of what we talked about as setting the standard for public service in America. So all good stuff. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Eggers.
The feast grand opening, or groundbreaking, excuse me, was on a week ago, Monday, and their 30th anniversary. It's hard to believe that they've been providing food for that long. A 450% increase from 20 to 23. So food needs around the county, certainly in Palm Harbor, on the rise big time. I was just going to give a little animal services workshop plug, but I know that I keep learning more about things, so I'm going to throw one thing out. The Purdue certification applies to the new certification for breeders, only to 10% of the breeders nationwide. And none of those breeders or anybody is allowed to divulge what qualifies a breeder to receive that certification. So thinking about transparency and openness and pride in what they receive. Nothing, so just food for thought. Number 3, John Maroney Foundation celebration is on March 23rd. We probably have another commission meeting between. I'll mention that again. The AmSkills, I think I mentioned that already. The boot camp was just amazing. Great work. A lot of opportunities for residents, but also for companies to get involved and providing jobs for people, whether they're trying to shift jobs or whether they're trying to get a job. And there's a lot of great participation. Looking forward to that. Thanks to Commissioner Flowers' invitation, I went down to the historic Lincoln Cemetery cleanup, and it was just an amazing day, unbelievable day. It was neat finding the nameplates that were there. They were buried underground, and finding different nameplates was pretty exhilarating. And then we heard one of the ladies found her father's nameplate, which was just gave me chills to hear about it. But so getting that cemetery cleaned up, getting families re-engaged and taking care of the cemetery and understanding what's going on was just really a special day. So also, State of the Region we attended. I've got some information that I'm going to send around to everybody. If you could just look at it, check it off, and pass it around to other members. Really, really good. We improved in some areas and didn't improve in some other areas. So there were some gains, I guess, for our region. Charter Review Commission, we have 1 meeting in February, 2 in March, 2 in April, and then we'll be bringing forward those items that will go on the ballot in November. I want to thank everybody at staff, Della and company, for the work on the strategic planning workshop that we had last Thursday. It was really good. It was just different than we've done in the past, but I thought it was really excellent. Had a lot of good conversation with all of you guys. TMA leadership was interesting, to say the least. We met over at the International Airport, 9 of us from different counties, talking about the future of MPOs. Very energetic conversation, but making progress. This year is all about trying to make some progress for next year and really rolling it out. So continue to have ongoing discussions with different parties, interested parties on the Raise financial deal. Rotary Peace Pole event in Dunedin, Friday at 6 o'clock at the Dunedin Community Center. And finally, teenage drivers are now flying, huh? Wow, to your point. I was like, I worry about teenage drivers, but I guess flyers, it's different. Thank you for that information. That's kind of exciting. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Oh,
could I just jump in on one thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Since Commissioner Eggers brought up the strategic plan, I had a note, I wanted to laud Chris Rose, that budget presentation we had the other day, 10 years of doing this, I think that was one of the best Budget 101 presentations I've seen, and I wish we could get every resident in Pinellas to watch that presentation, because it was really well thought out, and it laid it out in just clear terms as possible for a complicated budget. Thank you.
sure. Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have quite a few things to report on, as my colleagues have, and it just is kind of another example of how busy we all are in our own way. Matty Velasco of Open Forum Strategy and Consulting invited my aide and I to the Pinellas Recovery Roundtable. I had never been to that, but it's a monthly meeting of leaders in the recovery space. Chief Holloway was in attendance and spoke briefly while he was there, and Mayor Welch and Chair Fig Sanders go regularly to this meeting. So if you have any interest in learning more about it, please get with one of them. It was pretty interesting to me to see how many folks were there that were attending it and developing data-driven ideas and policy solutions to some of the really big issues surrounding recovery and how it affects us all. The highlight of the event was having the opportunity to meet with a gentleman named Marcus Allen Brooks, who's the executive director of the Center for Health Equity and the Foundation for a Healthy St. Pete. You probably know him, Commissioner, I'm thinking. I just found him so articulate and amazing and an incredible speaker. And he had a very interesting perspective on race and equity relations, and provided a space to have difficult and very open conversations with the community. So I encourage all of you to get to know him, because he certainly is going to be a mover and shaker going forward. I also had the pleasure between the last time we met and now of meeting Dr. Alex Harris, who is the CEO of the Arts Conservatory for Teens. They've been serving our community youth since 2012 and have helped over 13,000 young people graduate from high school and attend college. They have master classes in leadership, emotional intelligence, and problem solving. Their core classes range from performing and visual arts to creative technology. The organization equips students for various career paths within and outside of the creative workforce. So I referred him to folks over at Creative Pinellas, JWB, and Economic Development to hopefully help make his programs and all the work he's doing even more effective in the coming years. And maybe there's something we can do to add what they're doing into our budget next year as well. Last Monday, and Commissioner Eggers just spoke to the State of the Region luncheon at USF. I would encourage all of you to try and attend that when they have it. It's a great big visual, view of what's going around all over Tampa Bay, and how the Tampa Bay Partnership and USF do an amazing job bringing together business and community leaders and government folks from all over the area. The biggest takeaway I had after hearing the presentation that we have come a long way in Tampa Bay but we have a long way to go. So once again, we have new residents that are flocking here and adding more and more burdens on our infrastructure. So it comes with a cost. And on the flip side, it really showed how family budgets are being squeezed. And what was disturbing to me particularly was that to learn that 57 cents of every dollar is now going toward housing and transportation alone. I mean, that's staggering, 57 cents. So that figure doesn't even include things like food and medical care. So, you know, there's, again, a lot that still needs to be done. So the all-day event that we had right here in this room on Valentine's Day, although we didn't get that much chocolate, I have to say, and no flowers either. Yeah, but I'm talking about, yeah, Valentine. The topics included planning for the new board that's going to go from where we are now to 19 members, and the 2050 long-range transportation plan and budgeting for future projects. So again, it's a bit overwhelming when you look at the whole vision for where we are and where we need to be and how we get there. We're still waiting for the governor to sign and approve the new board structure, but we're hopeful to have that done soon because the newer folks that are coming on the board have a lot of catching up to do. This was, and not to be testy or anything, but during the budget discussion, one of our members brought up, which I thought was a great point, that if transportation is truly a priority for our county and our region, why is the direction from the county administration to have Forward Pinellas staff prepare for a flat budget this year or even a possible 3 to 5% budget cut? So I can't wait till we have those conversations, Barry, because at that meeting's the first time I've heard that that was the direction we were going in. And I found it very troubling considering all of the other meetings that I had been to talking about how inflation and our families are being squeezed, et cetera, Anyway, their budget represents about 2% of the 3 special districts on a citizen's tax bill and would be a total cost to the average family of $6 per household if the budget remains flat. And why are you laughing? Okay. The services they provide, in my mind, are critical to every facet of our county, and we need to promote forward thinking and how best to plan for future growth to keep our county as a place that people continue to want to invest in, retire in, and have young families and build their lives here. And then a few of you already spoke to our strategic plan last week. I was very impressed with the entire presentation. Thank you, Chris and Barry and all of your staff for the excellent way in which our budget was presented. And again, I hate it when you go first, Commissioner, because you talk about everything that's on. I guess that's why we're on the same boards. Anyway, I was at the TMA leadership meeting at the Sky Center building at the airport. And while the meeting was going on, I was really distracted by the room that we were in, because it's all windows, and right outside the windows is the flight path for landing planes coming into Tampa International. Honest to God, it was one after another, after another, after another. It never stopped. So I was so curious about where they were all coming from, because it was just relentless, the planes that were coming in and landing. But I did like the idea of adding the port, Tampa Bay Port, and the and the airport to our board for the TMA leadership group, because they are a significant economic driver in our whole Tampa Bay area. And then we also talked about adding the transit agencies, which are not represented there. And that's the end of my report. I'm sorry it was so long and duplicative.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One other thing on the Forward Pinellas is we did get a preview of the Live Local dashboard, which was, I thought, kind of interesting. It's just a way that you can track affordable housing projects really kind of almost in real time. So I thought that was really kind of interesting, and it's public facing, so anybody can access that. I thought our strategic planning last week was great. I really did. I thought Doug Thomas did a great job. So thanks Barry, thanks Della, thanks everybody for organizing that. I thought we had a lot of great discussion that day, and I'm looking forward to what comes out of that. Since our last meetings, I had an opportunity to tour the Wounded Warrior Abilities Ranch, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably been there. I met Mike Delancey out there, and just hats off to him for, taking what was a very tragic thing that happened in his life, being shot by a sniper, and turning that into his life's mission. So he's really done some amazing things out there, and so it was a pleasure to meet him and tour that facility, and I look forward to working with him in the future on ways that he can even improve upon that. Let's see, Bobby attended on my behalf the ribbon cutting for Foodie Labs, which was in downtown St. Pete, which is a restaurant incubator style concept. I toured that several months ago, and it's a really neat thing. If you're ever down there, please go check that out. Attended NACO last week with Commissioner Peters and also Commissioner Justice. And again, thank you to Harry Glenn for taking us around the Capitol and making arrangements for us to meet with Senator Rubio and Senator Scott's staff. And it just still amazes me how the Army Corps of Engineers just blows off two U.S. senators. It just totally amazes me that they get away with doing that. But hopefully we'll have some resolution to that here in the near future. And then also, we talked about at Forward Pinellas I think something that we're probably going to have to talk about maybe at a workshop or have some discussion on is Dunedin Causeway, the signage requesting cyclists to dismount before they go over the sidewalk portion of Dunedin Causeway is causing some issues for some people that have e-bikes that are maybe 50, 60 pounds, and they really can't push them up the hill. So that's creating some traffic situations there and some unsafe situations. But then on the other side of that, Public Works had recently put out some temporary signage advising motorists that cyclists can use the entire lane, which I think is a great thing they did that. But that's going to continue to be a problem until that bridge gets replaced over the next, probably 4 or 5 years away. But I think that's something that maybe we can have a presentation on, or something we can talk about at a workshop about how we address those things going forward. So I'd like to talk about that. And then lastly, would just like to wish our chair happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Today?
No, it's actually the 27th, but I won't see you. I will be not at the next workshop and the next meeting. Brian Scott will be, our vice chair will be managing as chair. From my trip that was supposed to be in October got rescheduled, so we'll be spending my birthday in Patagonia.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, so I apologize for missing the past workshop, but I promise you, you didn't want me here.
That was all my fault then.
I had 103 fever, and you just didn't want me there. So, I hear it was wonderful, and I'm sad I missed it, and I know Barry's going to fill me in on what I missed. So, but I do also want to announce, you all have seen my new staff, Jessica. I know you've heard it. I kind of announced it. She comes with a lot of experience, and I hope you all get to pop in and meet her, and she's going to do a great job, and she'll be a great addition onto the 5th floor. So, other than that, I want to thank, of course, our deputies, Deputy Stopper and Deputy Butterfield, who are here always to take care of us and make sure everything goes smooth and safely for us. So, and we just truly appreciate their service, and I want to thank them. And other than that, I was at NACO. Everybody's kind of reported everything that I've kind of been to. So instead of taking up any more time, I'll just move to adjourn this meeting. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed the chocolates. They did get here.
Yeah. Thank you. My waistline loved them.
and thank you all.